Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the best times to affirm, the best times to manifest. I get a lot of questions like this, like what are the best ways to do it, the best times, blah blah blah. So that is all we're going to be talking about today. So basically the short answer is I want you to find what works for you. You can try out different things, but what works for one person might not work for another. I know that there are some people that kind of make it more of a set schedule. People have told me they set timers, and so maybe throughout the day they'll get a reminder to like, oh, I need to affirm right now. Like, that's not the way that I personally do it, but I can understand how, especially when you're first starting out, that's a great way. Not necessarily the timer thing, but just having a set time. Like when I first started manifesting, I would affirm at night before I went to bed. So I've mentioned, it kind of depends. Like I now have kind of like a bigger list of affirmations that I'll kind of go through. But at the time when I was first manifesting, I had like a few affirmations and I would just have it in a note on my phone. And so at night before I went to bed, I would either say it out loud or read it in my head or whatever. I'm not really a writing type of person, but if you want to write your affirmations, you can. But there's no one correct way. So if you want, maybe it's in the morning that you find the time to say your affirmations or read them out loud to yourself, or if you like to write down your affirmations, you can do that. Whatever way that you execute saying or using those affirmations, that's completely up to you. But also because I'll get questions too, like, okay, when is a good time to affirm? But also, how do I know it's enough? Affirm that it's enough. Sometimes so like I said, I kind of started off saying it at night and then I would say it in the morning, or sometimes I would say it in the morning and at night. And now what I kind of do is I don't really, like, I say affirmations, but like I don't really say them as much as I used to. Like instead I'll just kind of think them throughout the day. Like maybe one randomly comes to me and I'll just kind of be like, oh yeah, like this is what it is. Like, I don't know. Like I'll say different affirmations in my head, but it's not a set thing anymore. We're like, okay, before I go to bed, let me look at my affirmations. And like, it's not a bad thing. Like I said, there's no really wrong way to do it, but I've just found that over time, it's easier for me now. It's just kind of think my affirmations throughout the day, or I'm kind of visualizing whatever that scenario is. It's easier for me to visualize, but also that's not something that you have to do. If you are trying to visualize and it's just not working out for you, don't force yourself to do it. Because like I said, what works for you is not going to work for somebody else, and vice versa. So if it's easy for you to visualize all day. And if that's like the scenario that you need to help you fall asleep, that's a great time to do it. And you're like that half awake, half asleep type of vibe. But also, if you're not good at visualizing, if that's just not what you do, don't worry about it. Focus on just affirming then. Focus on things that make you feel secure in your affirmations. I want to make a video about scripting. It's not something that I do a ton, but I know that a lot of people really enjoy scripting. But it's just kind of one of those things that it's like, that is not what's bringing you your manifestation. It's the mentality that scripting might put you in that makes you feel secure and confident in your manifestations and puts you in that like proper mindset of law of assumption. Like you're assuming this is happening because you scripted it. But the scripting itself is not what's bringing you your manifestation, if that makes sense. So I do want to do a video on that though, because I know it helps a lot of people to write. But even if you're just writing down your affirmations, you can totally do that. Like I said, I don't really do it because my wrist starts hurting really bad. But I know for a lot of people that works and that helps them, like, I guess, kind of solidify it in their mind. So do what works for you. There's so many different ways that you can affirm. But yeah, like I said, so I think maybe to start off, have sort of like a set time, or not even a set time, but maybe certain part of the day. Like maybe it's when you're in the shower, or like when you're getting out of the shower, or if you wear makeup, maybe it's when you do your makeup or whatever. Like just find a time that works for you. And that's really going to be the best time to do it, is whatever the best time is for you. And I also get questions like, do I need to be in a good mood to affirm? No, you don't. A lot of times actually, if I've affirmed and I'm not I don't know. I mean, maybe if I'm like totally in a bad mood, I probably won't feel like it. But in times when I'm kind of in like whatever kind of mood, or maybe borderline bad mood, I don't know, it'll make me excited to say my affirmations, because then I'll start saying them, and then it's like, oh, like, yeah, like this is the version of my life that I want, and it makes me excited. So it kind of brings me out of that. But if you're not in a great mood and you just don't think that it would be great for you, then don't force yourself to affirm. But that's when, like I was saying earlier, that's when it comes in to affirm that whatever you do is more than enough. And that's literally an affirmation that I'll say to myself on days that I don't feel like affirming, or like I said, if I'm in a bad mood or whatever. I always say, like, I know however much I affirm, or whatever ways that I manifest, is the best and most efficient way for me to manifest. I know that I'm always doing more than enough to manifest everything that I want. Because if you, let's say you are off one day and you say your affirmations in the morning and at night, and you fell asleep and forgot to say them, so now you only said them in the morning, so you're freaking out and you're like, oh my god, like I didn't do enough today, like it's affecting my manifestations. None of that is true unless you say that it is. So if you assume that those things are negatively affecting your manifestations, and they will. But if you instead assume that you are always doing the most that you can for your manifestations, and everything you're doing is actively bringing you closer to your manifestations, then that's all that matters, and that's all that you're going to see. So it's just, I feel like people get really caught up in different techniques or different ways to do it, or like, oh, well, this TikTok said to do it for 21 days. 21 days is recommended because you'll probably see movement within that time frame. But also, the more you say things, the faster it's going to happen. But really, you can make an affirmation for any kind of concern that you have. Like, are my affirmations good enough? Like, whatever. Affirm that they are. Affirm that your affirmations are the best. They're the best to get you what you want. Like, only you can do that for yourself. Only your thoughts can do that for yourself. That's the whole point, literally. I just lost what I was going to say. But it's just like, you have to assume that you're always doing the best. And with affirmations, oh, that's what I was going to say. That I brought up TikTok and stuff like that. There's obviously so many affirmations out there that either people, like me included, either I will post or whatever. There's affirmations that float around. There's trending affirmations, like the I don't chase, I attract one, which I don't really like. I don't know if that I talked about it on here. I don't really like that one. Okay, quickly. I don't like that one because I don't chase, I attract. What belongs to me will simply find me. I like the notion of I don't chase, I attract. But the second half is what throws me for a loop, because I'm like, whatever belongs to me will simply find me. Like, no, like, I don't chase, I attract. And I attract what I want easily and effortlessly, is what I always say. Or quickly and effortlessly, quickly and easily, whatever. Like, because it feels like you're leaving it up to chance when you're saying what belongs to me will simply find me. Like, no, I have control over what I want, so I will attract those things that I desire. Anyways, just a little tangent. But anyway, there are affirmations like that, or just other ones that you see that sound good or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. But also, that's why you need to set whatever number you think is manageable. When I am first working with my coaching clients, usually I will start them with 5. Which some people might even argue that that's too many, but like I said, I have a list, and I don't say that list every day, and that's probably why I don't say my affirmations as often as other people. But like, there's like a list, but there's also maybe like 2 or 3 that, like, those are the ones that I'll think throughout the day. I'm not thinking of the whole list throughout the day. But I usually start my clients with 5 affirmations, but it could be more than that, it could be less than that, whatever you think is manageable. Again, it's all up to you. But the main thing is staying consistent with those affirmations. So if you're finding new ones that you think are great, and you say those for like a couple days, and then you find a new one, and then you say that for a few days, and you're like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Because you're not being consistent with your affirmations. It's not just being consistent in saying affirmations or in, thinking affirmations or embodying that affirmation, but you also have to pick ones that you are consistently saying, not just for the 21 days or whatever a lot of those videos will say, but over time, if you just persist until you see movement, the movement that you want. You shouldn't be affirming for movement. That's a whole other video I could get into. It's you're affirming to change your mindset. And when you're waiting to see change and you're waiting to see movement, you're not really going to see your change in mindset because you're still coming from that initial place of lack. So I'll have people email me or clients or whatever and be like, yeah, I'm not really worried about time, but also it's been like 2 months and I don't know where it is. Like, that's not to bash on them, but it's like, okay, but you're still thinking about it. You're still aware of it. There's things that I have manifested that have come. There are things that I manifested that aren't here yet, but that's genuinely not something that I think about because I know ultimately it's mine. So I don't care. Like, obviously, if ideally it would have been here yesterday, like, you know, some of the things that I'm manifesting, but also that's not something to get caught up in. And, you know, the more that you affirm, though, the quicker those things will come. And again, that's another affirmation you can say. The more that I affirm these things, the faster they come. Or the more that they're reflected in my reality, or whatever, like whatever feels and sounds best to you. But I know I have a whole other video on affirmations, so I'm hoping a lot of this isn't overlap. I can't remember what I mentioned in that other video, but this was mainly supposed to be about when to affirm and kind of how to do it and all that. So hopefully it's still different information, and it was helpful, hopefully. So I think that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I was trying to think of the little reminder that I was trying to say at the end of my videos. Your reality is a direct reflection of your thoughts. Do not forget that. And I will see you next time. Bye.